subscribe to the Soul Fresh podcast on your preferred platform, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. Remember to connect with us on Instagram or Facebook at the Soul Fresh Podcast. And also, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube at the Soul Fresh Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Soul Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, J. Steve.
J. Steve, we got a great topic today. We're going to be talking about that new album from Andre 3000, New Blue Sun.
Woo-hoo.
Highly anticipated. Everybody was waiting on it. And you want to say it was...
somewhat controversial.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a few opinions out there.
Yeah. So before we get started, be sure to head to YouTube. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share. And also you can follow us on all social media platforms at
the Soul Fresh Podcast, wherever you get your social media.
Exactly. All right. So enough of that. This new project he has that he just came out with, dropped Friday midnight, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Thursday midnight? Yeah,
it was Thursday midnight.
Thursday midnight. Right. 87 minutes of authentic experimental jazz is what I guess I would call it. A lot of different opinions about it. Not from me. Well, we'll get into that, but from what I've been reading and seeing. But just to know, it was produced by Carlos Nino. If you know anything about him, he's a percussionist, jazz. I guess people can say great, based out of California. Just in 24 hours, that album has gotten over 3 million streams.
3 million.
Just on Spotify alone.
That was in the first 24 hours.
First 24 hours.
As of this recording, it has been, 48 hours?
Yeah.
So
now, I think before we dive into it, when we're talking about the streaming though, but I think what really helped that out is the simple fact he's been gone for 17 years.
Yes.
So that was highly anticipated. So that made everybody run like, I got to check this out.
And it's just like we spoke on the last podcast when we were saying, it doesn't matter what Dre says he's going to do or where he pops up.
Yeah.
People are still going to go to it because they're waiting on it, period. It's just like, he told us a whole week in advance, hey, I don't
think people believed him. I think people were really going on there and like hoping to find like a spoken word or something.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I at least wanted. I even said that to you. I was like, "Hey, bro, I just want just give me some poetry or something." You was like, "No, man." He said, "No bars." I said, "Well, those aren't bars."
No bars.
No bars. No bars.
No
That
bars.
means no words spoken. I was like, okay, but then you got people that were capping. I guess you would say, I'm featured on it. Man, that's why I intently listen. Lupe Fiasco
said he was featuring. Come on now, I was looking for it.
I was looking,
and if you listening to the album, it take a while to look for something because the track with the least amount of time is 10 minutes.
Yes,
everything else is like
average
10 and
13.
Up. Yeah, first track alone was like 12:50.
Yeah, and then when he got to In Hawaii, when he turned into the Panther and all that crazy long title. That's when I was like, hold on 1 second. That was track number 3.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, so here's and what's interesting about the tracks is this is Andre at his best though to come up with these titles. Here's just a couple of them. I swear I really wanted to make a rap album, rap in quotes, but this is literally the way the wind blew me this time.
Yep.
And let's talk about that for a little bit. So I think for him, this was like a healing project.
Yeah.
And if you really watch his interview, I mean, there's a lot about everything he was saying. And I think people have a hard time like respecting that.
Right.
And being that he's such a great MC, and we don't have several conversations, obviously in my top 5 and in my number 1.
Mine as well.
And so it's hard for people to kind of like let go of that and realize that, it's over.
Right.
And I think he's one of these individuals that sometimes people know when to let it go, like know when to throw in the towel and to move on to something else. But we got to understand that Andre, my opinion, wasn't just a rapper.
No.
He came out the gate as a creative.
Yeah.
So people have to realize that he's a creative.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's bound to do different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When people were asking, when AT Aliens dropped, like, man, what's up with him? going around with shoulder pads on and stuff like that. Like this dude went and got a perm. Like Dre's always been different. He's always gone on his own path. Yeah. And over the past, has he apologized for that? Mm-hmm. Of course he has. But he had to get to a place also with the mental health aspect of it. Hey, I had social anxiety. Which is a real thing. And then some people will brush it off, say, no. Dre just talking, ain't nothing wrong with him. Social anxiety isn't a thing. But now here we are 15 to 20 years later. Man, I got social anxiety. I can't go nowhere. Oh, I thought you said it wasn't a thing back when Dre said it. Mm-hmm. You know, I know people.
Yeah.
We know who you are, but that's neither here nor there.
But also, you know, he's a painter. He's an artist.
Right.
You know, I think that's the type of person he is. And it's funny, he's a Gemini, but it seemed like to me, I relate to him so much because he comes off like a Sagittarius, meaning that like my creativity, it goes where the wind blows. Like I could be doing something on Monday. That is definitely probably not what I'm going to be doing next month.
Yeah.
Only because that's not what I was feeling. And then everything he said about feeling, I completely understand that because for me, you know, when we had our group and everything, if it didn't feel good, I'm not going to do it. And because everything that I've always done, and I'm speaking personally, has always been based off of feeling. Mm-hmm. You know, I was making shirts one time. It felt good at the time. I was making some money, but then something else blew in front of me.
Right.
And I was like, this is what I like right now. This is what I'm feeling right now.
Right.
And I don't do things. I'm not motivated by money. I'm not motivated by somebody asking me to do something. Just like somebody
you have a passion for at that moment.
Yeah, somebody might say, when y'all coming out with next podcast? I don't know, when I feel it, you know, like when we feel something interesting to talk about, you know?
And it's like what Dre said in that interview. He felt it was the most he could give to all of music at this stage in his life.
Yes, correct.
Not done with rap. He's not saying he's done with it. He loves it. He just doesn't like the stage it's at right now, but it's just not in his spirit.
Yeah.
And that goes to say, like what you said, hey, if it, like when they say, when the spirit moves you.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, when the spirit moves you.
When the spirit moves you. So people have to understand that and respect that aspect of it. Now, let's get into the meat of the whole thing. People mad because he didn't rap at all. Right. And people have been clamoring and begging and asking for Dre to finally drop a solo album after 17 years, and he does. He said, I give you what you want. I'm going to drop a whole solo album by myself. And he don't give nothing.
Nothing.
No words. Just a flute and some nice instruments to go along with it. But
I saw a meme that came out that he didn't say it, but the meme is funny. Said, don't deserve my words.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What is it? Don't deserve these words.
Erykah Badu said that, supposedly. Yeah. She put the meme out. But, hey, that's kind of how it is, though. That's funny, though.
It is. It's hilarious.
But people still are up in arms because he didn't drop a bar. He didn't say anything. You didn't even hear vocals except on track 3, the In Hawaii track, where you hear the growls and some of the woo and stuff like that. But me personally, I listened to it the first time through, and I had to put my biases away. You understand what I'm saying? Because I was like, yo, I want Dre. I want 3 stacks.
Yeah.
You know, I want what everybody else want. Dre, give me what I want. You done let me down. Now, I listened to it all the way through, and then I got into a different headspace later on in the evening, and then listened to it again. Then listen to it again. I was like, okay. Yeah. This right here. And plus, me and you, we like lo-fi type music.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's almost like a lo-fi vibe. Lo-fi jazz meets Orient meets, you know what I'm saying? It's just a whole amalgamation of sounds.
I knew exactly. I wasn't surprised. I knew exactly what I was getting. I mean, you got to use your common sense. I mean, he's playing a ancient wood flute, you know, woodwind, and different variations. He said he played a digital one as well on there.
He did.
But if you've been listening to him play over the last year or two, when people have been doing the whole, you know, Spot and Where's Waldo type thing, you kind of got an idea. I'm not saying you can only do so much with that sound, but that sound is only related to a certain arena of music,
Yeah,
where it can kind of flow and go. So you kind of should have known, because I do the meditation and listen to the music, and that's what I go to bed with on my Calm app.
Right.
So, and which when we was talking about anxiety, that's that type of music that get me through, which is that whole Tibetan
Right. See
type
that's what I'm
sound.
saying. Yeah, that Asian influence almost with that Indian culture it mixed in
Right.
with it.
So
Yeah,
it's like
I get that.
you shouldn't have been surprised, not you, but just people. So I thought it was very therapeutic, honestly, because you got to look at he's opening up a whole new space, and also you have to realize this album might have just been something that he needed for healing, because the dude lost his mama, his daddy, his stepdaddy, like all in almost the same time frame.
Right.
He was the only child. He's already a Gemini and already tells you that he likes the solidarity and keeps to himself.
Right.
But if you really think about it, he has relatives, I'm sure, still left, but you have to think about it when you lose like the core of your family. Nobody to call and say, hey, check this out. You know, it's like, you got aunts and cousins and all that, but it's nothing like your immediate core of your family. I mean, he still's got a son, but when you talking about the people that actually created you, nurtured you, brought you up.
The people who you probably told your deepest, darkest secrets to.
Yeah, or the people that you look, sometimes not always, but for validation, like the people that you want to make proud.
Right.
You know? And it's like, so when you look at that album, that I saw it as a journey of like healing.
Yeah.
Because healing doesn't always require words, because rappers can always say, yeah, man, writing for me is therapeutic.
Right.
But like he says, at that age, he ain't really got nothing to talk about.
Right.
And I feel that.
But see, also, producers like yourself making music was therapeutic.
Yes.
Not so much that you wanted to write, like, oh man, let me write a rhyme right quick, let me bust something down, even though you did spoken words. But you made music. That's what you did. Like, hey man, I'm gonna be in the lab. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't bothering nobody. Y'all know I'm gonna be, and that's it. And you just zone out and get into whatever your spirit is moving you into at that time. Me is more so of a person who writes. Man, I gotta write something down.
And you just wrote something about your dad.
Right. So, and I had to get it out.
Rest in peace. Rest in power, Donnie Fletcher.
Rest in power, Pops. And I feel like I had to get that out and say what I needed to say, because that was the only way I feel like I could release it and let it go. But that's my therapy. And so people have different ways. And maybe that's another thing too. Maybe listening to the old Dre was therapeutic for a lot of people. Like, I love to hear this dude spit. He makes me feel some kind of way. I guess that's why people beat us up so much over the whole Tupac thing.
Yeah.
Some people feel like Tupac is their number one inspiration and they channel his spirit and all that other stuff.
And we're going to talk about that. Go back when we have our next conversation, when we continue our conversation on 50 years of hip hop, because they tried to smash us on that Pac conversation. Like, I ain't gonna lie, they got in us, but they don't understand where we're coming from, and it's an opinion, and everybody doesn't have to agree or like Pac. But like you said, when I listen to him, he doesn't feel me. I don't feel it.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I didn't never say I didn't like him. I just said he was overrated, but I didn't feel it. I feel Dre.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
I feel like
I feel like when I know somebody can say one word of one song from any album, go, Steven, finish. Like, if somebody put a gun to my head and say, Steven, I need you to recite Synthesizer, the whole thing, both verses right now. Do it. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? But
hurry, rush.
World on the move. You know what I'm saying? Say
instant, quick grits.
No, we improve. But don't get me started. I keep going. But that's another thing I think got a lot of people up in arms, because their emotions were involved.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I listened to it the first listen through, my emotions were involved because I'm thinking about Dre. But it's like Pete Rock said about this whole Andre situation as well. And Pete Rock, legend, you know what I'm saying? When he speaks, I listen. He said, now I'm a producer, and what I hear on this album is amazing. Some of y'all ears been lost, but as a producer, what I hear sounds incredible. Sometimes embracing a different side of a person isn't a bad thing. In this business, when you've been doing the same thing forever, you can get tired of it and want to go left. Nothing wrong with that. We all need that support sometimes. We had jazz musicians put albums out like this. Why not accept it when 3 Stacks does it? You know, so I mean, hear amazing samples on this album, fire beats. I listen to his last raps on that Kanye joint all the time. One of the South's greatest MCs, but I copped this album and I'm listening to it, and you know what? I like it so far. Congratulations on this new journey, and I believe real musicians will like this.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. Real musicians, people that have really been in music, like us, for example, we have literally been playing instruments since we were
Like
in the 3rd, 4th grade.
Yeah, like 10.
You know what I'm saying? So we really know music.
And that's
we
where
write music.
And that's where I come from when I was like listening to it and I was evaluating it. Because you know me, as a producer, I'm always listening. When I listen to music, I listen to sounds.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to count instruments. Like, okay, how many instruments did they use in this? And you also got to understand, jazz is actually my top one, and then like probably hip hop, and then of course I listen to everything.
Right.
But jazz is, so it was right down my alley. Was it different? Yes. So I couldn't listen to it in a certain space. So I will admit it's a listen only for a certain space, because I was riding to Noonan the day it came out. And it's getting dark early.
Can't do that.
I tried to press play and I was listening to it and I was like, ooh, not on I-75. No. I was getting sleepy.
Look, that's that boring part. That's that boring part of the road going that way to Noonan too.
Hey,
Ain't nothing out there.
And then I didn't go 75. I took Griffin.
Oh, yeah.
I took 75 to Griffin.
See,
so it getting
you
in.
better.
Hey, so yeah, by the time it got about 6:30, it was getting dark.
You don't need
I was like, you know what? This is not it right now. I'm gonna check it out later, but not right now, because I was yawning, not as in rejection of it, yawning as in it was just not the right space for me to listen to it in. So I started bumping some old stuff, and then that's when I told you on the phone. I said, you know what? I started listening to all the albums backwards.
Yeah.
And then it gave me a different appreciation for Cass, and then listening to his interview. As far as listening to the growth and the experimentation, and was already there. He was kind of already laying it down, telling you where he was going.
Oh yeah.
If you listen to the lyrics and listen to it backwards, they go all the way back. And I don't know, like I say, I just like the growth, because let's talk about one thing he mentioned on the album, and it goes back to when you were talking about us. When we talking about age, when he said, I'm 48, what am I supposed to be talking about?
Exactly.
You got to respect that, because not in comparison, but I understand where he was coming from, because I was at that same point when we was doing something. Of course, it didn't blow up like we wanted it to, but at the same time, I got to a certain point where I don't have nothing to talk about.
Right.
And remember, even when we tried to do, like, we say, okay, we was going to do like a little reunion type thing, not for like to put it out or anything, but for me, it was more just nostalgic reasons, because I still make music. I still like being around music. I still have, like he said, I still have these ideas and the ability to write in my head.
Right.
But then when I'm sitting there listening to a track, and, I wanted to go with a whole, before he even came out with that, I wanted to come out with this whole jazz, hip hop experimental type thing, and this was like last year.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last
year. This is what we talked about last year. So I'm kind of like, real. That's why I say I really feel him, because that's where my growth has taken me. But when I try to go pee in the pad, I draw a blank, because I'm not there anymore.
Right.
So I said, I'll just make music, and I even thought about that. I'm like, what about I just put like an instrumental track out, like just some instrumental stuff. Yeah. And I remember I was looking for like a bass player and a guitarist. Sure. I just wanted to just jam out.
Yep.
So that's why I say I totally relate to this album. I totally relate to his interview. It's like when I was watching his interview with GQ, I was just like, man, this is like everything that I've been thinking about, except for the whole social anxiety. I'm not worried about being out, but I will say this. I had the same, I'm not making this about me, but I'm just saying I'm just talking about how I can relate to it.
Yeah.
I had those same things, and then you can really say that it was social anxiety, or that's when the anxiety really started, if you really think about it. So remember when we was doing the music and then we were doing shows? The worst thing about the whole music experience for all those years, I hated doing shows. I don't like being in front of people. I'm a producer. I'm in the back. I like being in the background.
Right.
All I wanted to do was say, here's an album, listen to it, tell me what you think.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to perform it to promote it. You know what I'm saying? So I would
Peachtree.
Yeah, and I mean we talked about this on the podcast, I believe, long time ago when it was just audio.
Yeah.
That's what I think leads to like certain addictions, because I got to a point where in order for me to go on stage, I needed at least like one straight drink. Mm-hmm. Then it became two. Mm-hmm. Now I never went back to 2, 3. You know, I need 3, 4 and become a full blown alcoholic. But now you can see how people become heroin addicts or alcoholics as a performer, because it takes the edge off.
Yeah.
Because once I get to that second drink and it's straight liquor, oh, I'm warmed up. Like, I kind of don't really care.
That liquid courage, as they call it.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
It's just like on Players Club when they gave Lisa Ray, they like, here, take you a drink now.
Some people be like, here, take this bump. Yeah, like, I don't need a bump. I don't need a bump. I'll take a drink.
We don't do that. I remember one time we performed and I went in there thinking, I'm gonna go up here sober.
Hey.
That was the worst decision ever. I'm not condoning people just to drink, just to knock the edge off, but
it helps.
Hey, it helps. Because next performance I was live, but I had a couple of them in the next one, but that first one, sober as a kitten.
Mine just
rhyme just gone. Like
it's happened to me before.
I wrote it.
I've been on stage and I'm sitting there like, I think I just started freestyling the last little 4 bars that I forgot. Yes. And then that's when I was like, nerves is getting me. You know how my stomach do when the anxiety set in. Yeah. So, no, but I just totally related to what he was saying about just, that's that social anxiety, you know, and I get it. Like, can you imagine like being famous and then everybody's always in your face?
Yeah.
Like that's like
they were the hottest group in the world. They were the new Beatles.
He was the hottest dude in the world at one point, because remember, you gotta understand when he came out with Hey Ya.
Yeah.
Honestly, let's keep it real.
Yeah.
He surpassed Outkast in a sense and became his own individual.
Yeah, because
and it wasn't just Big Boy; it became just Andre 3000.
How many tracks did we say we really bumped off Speaker Box? To be honest,
3.
I mean, that I can only remember 2.
Yeah. Let's keep it real.
Love Below is the Love Below was my thing.
That's what I think that's what brought them diamond.
And look, that's when people kind of started saying as well. Oh man, here go Dre. What is he doing? But people don't understand. He learned how to play the guitar for that album. He was learning also how to play the guitar to play the Jimi Hendrix role. Like, come on, which was trash. But that wasn't his fault.
Yeah, no,
that
it wasn't.
The writing and the direct.
Well, you know, they went in circles on that movie. Like, took forever for the movie to finally come out.
Because the part of the movie that they filmed, or that the part of his life that they showed on the film, wasn't the part that we wanted to see.
No,
it wasn't the Woodcrest, not Woodcrest, Woodstock performance. I say Woodcrest. Shout out Woodcrest.
220.
Yeah. It wasn't the Woodstock performance. It wasn't the famous collabs or him doing the famous songs when all the war and stuff was starting. You know, they didn't get to that era. But that's neither here nor there. When we could go on and on and on, y'all. But
to end it off, I mean, I'm digging. Go back to Andre. Let's circle back around.
I'm gonna listen to it again.
And again. But I feel like what you get is what you expect. You know, what you get, what you see. So it's for a certain space.
One quick question.
Go ahead.
Do you think somebody's gonna take his album and put beats to it?
You know them producers go. You know
somebody's about to eat.
But
that's a lie.
But that's going to get him paid, and he deserves that. I'm proud of that. You know, and he deserves that. Now, I think let's go and say he did make it clear. He did not say that he would not do a solo album or he would not do something with Big Boy. So I think it's still on the table.
He literally said, I want to still rap. I want to do another album.
Yeah. But it was confusing though. When he jump on these features, it be so nasty and seems so just effortless.
Destroys it.
So it's like, to me, not being him, like, why can't you just do that like 10 more times? Do a Drake.
Yeah.
Give me 6.
Give me 6. That's it.
Give me 6.
Give me 6 hard. Just like that's what I needed.
You ain't even get. Look, I'll be like, just give us 16 and just have a feature on each one.
But you know what Dre said? When 16 ain't enough. You know what I'm saying? Ooh.
Yeah. Give me.
Oh, see, but it's just so much stuff that he's done. It's like, that was dope.
Yeah, I'll take 6, but give me 10. Give me 10
solid
tracks.
Yeah.
That same vibe that you did on these features. But I get it. I get his point.
No, but I give him 2 tracks. He can be like he was on Love Below. I'll let you give me a couple of prototype. You can give me a prototype style.
You can still sing.
And a Pretty Pink. Hey, y'all. I'm cool with that too. That whatever.
You don't want to do too much because then people won't call it a rap album. Because Love Below was not a rap album.
No, it's just an album.
That was an experimental.
And see that if people had seen,
Man, you can call it a pop album.
You actually could.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't nothing but the Monkees doing the Hey Y'all video, and they were considered what you call pre-pop.
Yeah.
You know.
And peep this. He did actually had a jazz song on there. So it was really just an experimental album because the song he did with Norah Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, la da da. Mm-hmm. That. And you know, she's
and you got to think what jazz song he did. He sampled Coltrane.
Yeah.
You know, so
Dun, 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 dun. My
favorite thing. So come on. It's like people like he was already on it. He was on that level, dog.
Yeah.
Like so.
Well, and then you know he tells you that Coltrane is his inspiration, which once again is so many relations there when he's talking. As far as the relationship between everything I was feeling in him, because Coltrane's my guy. Mm-hmm. That's my guy. Mm-hmm. Now, in the studio that we're in right now, I have Miles Davis up a lot, but I have
that's my dude.
Yeah, I have Coltrane up, but those are the albums that I listen to the most is Coltrane. So I really feel him on that Coltrane. I didn't hear the influence. But I heard the vibe. Does that make sense?
Well, I forgot to bring this up, but a couple of influences that somebody said. He said was Ravi Shankar and Alice Coltrane.
Alice Coltrane, yeah. Which Coltrane did a song for that. I think it was called not Equinox, but
no, that might be.
Nah, I mean Equinox is one of my favorite tracks off Coltrane album. But I want to say Namia, I might be saying it wrong.
Namia.
Coltrane song that was supposed to be for her.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was. Naima. Naima, I think.
Oh, I wrote that down too somewhere. I forgot about that. I did write that down. Yeah.
So, but yeah, like overall, like I say, I'm using it for as my new meditation space. Mm-hmm. As you can see right here in front of you, I have my sage candles. Mm-hmm. That's part of my little ritual or whatnot.
Incense,
but well, not incense because I grew up off of incense.
Well, you know the little wax, the little wax things.
Oh yeah, well this one's got crystals inside of it.
Right.
So it's got
red hairs.
He's so stupid.
They got you go with me.
Wish. But yeah, so I'm using it more for that space, and it's perfect for that space. So if people expect like, oh, I thought this was gonna be a jazz album that you can ride and listen to, like I don't think it's there. But if they put it on wax, I'm still gonna buy it just so I can have the record. So I'm waiting for it to come on wax.
I will tell you this. This is a record. My dad, who raised me on neo soul jazz type, the Anita Bakers, the Frankie Beverly and Mays, and the Bill Caldwells and all that stuff.
Yep.
If I played this for him, though, he'd be like, "Ooh, who's that?" Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even tell him no. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say nothing. I'd be like, "Dad, just listen," because he's one of those people. He ride around listening to lo-fi. That's why I learned how to do it. Remember Kenny G back in the day? People forget who Kenny G even was. Do people really remember Kenny G? I do. But we young though. We might not know who Kenny G is.
I know who Kenny G is.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
We young though. Remember, we don't know nothing.
Yeah. And so,
but
I don't know. Like I say, the end it off. I'm impressed. It takes a lot of balls to come out there and and do a whole album of that magnitude, 87 minutes, and do it freestyle.
Yeah.
Because
he said that.
Yeah, it's all freestyle. So he says they're gonna do some promotion and do some shows, but he says the problem with doing the shows is they can't go back and recreate that. He says he's gonna go back and listen to a few little melodies to kind of lock them in or whatever. But for the most part, every show is gonna be different because it can't be recreated. They were basically just jam sessions, and I respect that. That takes balls to come out there and put out an album that you say, okay, let's just go where the feeling takes us.
Because when he did a half-step transition down on the Gandhi song towards the end, and he did that, I was like, ooh, okay, that was improvised.
Yeah.
I could tell because the rest of the people didn't drop key with him,
Right.
and then they caught.
I'm like, I see where he going.
Yeah,
let's go with him.
See, because you listen. See, because I have a musician's ear, just like you do. It's like, okay, this is what he was talking about. I like this. We could go on and on and on, man, but we're gonna go on and wrap it on up.
All right. Well, I appreciate you checking us out, talking about, various different things, but mainly just wrapping it up, talking about Andre 3000's new album, New Blue Sun, 87 tracks of just pure artistic, just experimental, just jazz flavor, Find your right space. You got to be in the right space to listen to it, but keep an open mind to figure out where that music takes you, because he's always taking us somewhere with his words through this celestial space age voyage of just writing. Yeah. But now let him take you somewhere. And so that's that journey I'm on. Listening to that project is trying to see where he's actually taking us or whatnot,
Pick up a book.
Yeah.
Just look out the window and just listen. I don't know, just something, because it puts you in a trance. Almost. It does put me in a mellow state. I can't say that while listening to it. I had no anxiety. I didn't even think about anxiety. I was just focused on what I'm going to hear next. What's the next transitional part of this song going to be? Oh, okay. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it was dope.
All right. Well, hey, don't forget YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share it. Yep. Follow us on social media.
Tell a friend.
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah. And where they can find us at?
They can find us on any place that they get all their social media at The Soul Fresh Podcast.
At The Soul Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, J. Steve.
Peace.